Lord, tonight I do not come to you merely to calm my emotions. I come to realign my identity. Because fear does not always attack my circumstances. Often, it attacks who I believe I am. It does not always threaten what I have. Sometimes it questions what I'm worth. It does not always shout about danger. Sometimes it whispers about inadequacy, and when my identity is shaken, my peace begins to crumble. So tonight I return to the foundation. Before my achievements, I am your child. Before my failures, I am loved. Before my productivity, I am chosen. Before my mistakes, I am sustained by grace. Fear tells me, you are not enough. But your truth says, my grace is sufficient for you. Fear tells me, you might fail. But your voice says, I will never leave you. Fear tells me, you could lose everything. But you remind me, nothing can separate you from my love. Lord, I confess that many times I have confused my identity with my performance. When I succeed, I feel strong. When I stumble, I feel small. When others affirm me, I feel secure. When they criticize me, I question my value. But my identity cannot depend on human variables. My identity was established by you. I am not the sum of my accomplishments. I am not the shadow of my past mistakes. I am not the labels others placed upon me. I am not the distorted image fear tries to project. I am intentionally created. I am purposefully called. I am deeply known. I am continually sustained. And when I remember this, something stabilizes inside me. Because fear loses power when I know who I am. Anxiety weakens when I know to whom I belong. Insecurity fades when my identity is not rooted in comparison. Lord, fear often disguises itself as realism. It makes me believe I am being practical, when in reality I am doubting what you have declared over me. Tonight, I confront those inner voices. If fear says I am unprepared, I remember you equip those you call. If fear says I am fragile, I remember your strength is perfected in weakness. If fear says I am insufficient, I remember I was redeemed at an eternal cost. I am not accidental. I am not replaceable. I am not forgotten. I am seen. I am loved. I am called by name. Tonight I refuse to lie down under a distorted identity. I do not want to fall asleep believing subtle lies about who I am. I do not want fear rewriting the narrative you began in my life. If tomorrow brings challenges, I will not face them from insecurity. I will face them from identity. I will not fight to prove my worth. I will move from the security of knowing my worth, and that difference changes everything. Because when I strive to prove myself, I become exhausted. But when I act from identity, I remain anchored even under pressure. Lord, reveal any place where fear has redefined me. Perhaps I believed I was weak when you call me strengthened. Perhaps I believed I was inadequate when you call me equipped. Perhaps I believed I was unworthy when you call me redeemed. Tonight I dismantle those false beliefs. Fear will not have the final word over my mind before I sleep. I declare that my identity does not fluctuate with my emotions. I declare that my identity does not shift with circumstances. I declare that my identity does not depend on external validation. My identity is anchored in you. And when fear attempts to whisper as I close my eyes, I will answer with truth. If it whispers failure, I will remember purpose. If it whispers rejection, I will remember adoption. If it whispers abandonment, I will remember your presence. Lord, let my rest tonight be an act of identity. I rest because I am sustained. I rest because I am protected. I rest because I do not have to earn your love. I do not need to prove anything while I sleep. I do not need to control everything while I rest. I do not need to defend my value through constant effort. My identity is secure. And when my identity is secure, fear loses authority. As my breathing slows, this truth moves from my mind into my heart. It is no longer a theological idea. It becomes internal conviction. I am your child. I belong to your purpose. I am held within your faithfulness. And that does not change because today was difficult. It does not change because I made mistakes. It does not change because uncertainty still exists. Fear may attempt to intimidate, but it cannot redefine me. Tonight I close my eyes knowing I belong. And in belonging, I find stability. I am not what fear says I am. I am who you declare me to be, and that is enough to rest. And now, Lord, as the night grows quieter and distractions fade, I want to go deeper into this unseen battle. Because fear does not only question who I am, it tries to intimidate me with what is coming. It paints images of futures that have not happened. It creates scenarios that do not yet exist. It magnifies possibilities until they feel like certainties, and too often, I react as if those imagined outcomes are already real. But tonight I recognize something essential. Fear of the future grows when identity in the present is unstable. If I forget who I am today, tomorrow feels threatening. If I am not anchored now, uncertainty feels overwhelming. So instead of trying to control what is ahead, I choose to solidify who I am right here in this sacred moment before sleep. You did not design me to live in constant anticipation of disaster. You did not create my mind to function in perpetual alarm. You did not form my heart to be ruled by imagined outcomes. Fear exaggerates. Fear accelerates. Fear speculates. But your truth stabilizes. When fear whispers, "What if?" I answer with "Even if." Even if tomorrow brings challenges, you remain faithful. Even if circumstances shift, you remain constant. Even if I feel uncertain, you remain steady. My identity is not suspended in what might happen. It is grounded in what you have already declared. And that declaration is stronger than any projection. If tomorrow holds success, I remain your child. If tomorrow holds disappointment, I remain loved. If tomorrow brings loss, I remain held. The future does not determine my value. You do. Lord, I admit that much of my anxiety comes from wanting guarantees. I want to know outcomes. I want to secure results. I want reassurance that everything will unfold the way I expect. But faith is not built on guarantees of circumstances. Faith is built on certainty of identity. If I know who I am in you, I can walk into uncertainty without losing stability. Because I am not defined by what awaits me, I am defined by the one who goes before me. And you are already present in the day that has not yet begun. That changes everything. It means I am not walking toward the unknown alone. It means I am not stepping into tomorrow without covering. It means I am not vulnerable in the dark spaces ahead. You are already there. Fear tries to rush my thoughts forward, forcing me to live in scenarios that may never occur. But tonight I slow down. I breathe intentionally. I bring my mind back to truth. I am a son before I am a performer. I am accepted before I am evaluated. I am loved before I achieve. Tomorrow cannot strip away what heaven has established. So I release the pressure to anticipate every possible outcome. I release the fear of making the wrong decision. I release the anxiety of not being enough. I release the burden of trying to predict every consequence. If you call me into something, you will sustain me in it. If you allow a challenge, you will provide grace for it. If you open a door, you will strengthen my steps through it. My identity is not fragile under pressure. It does not collapse when conditions are imperfect. It does not dissolve when plans change. It does not weaken when the path becomes unclear. It remains anchored. And an anchored soul does not drift with every wave of uncertainty. Lord, as I prepare to sleep, I ask that my imagination be purified from fear-driven projections. Let my mind be cleared of exaggerated outcomes. Let the repetitive loops of anxiety lose their intensity. Let my nervous system settle into trust. I do not want to wake tomorrow already exhausted from fighting imaginary battles. I want to wake grounded in who I am. If tomorrow brings important decisions, I will face them with clarity. If tomorrow brings difficult conversations, I will enter them with calm. If tomorrow brings unexpected turns, I will remain steady. Because the future does not define me. Identity defines how I face the future, and tonight my identity is firm. I sense something aligning within me. The tension that was once tight in my chest begins to loosen. The mental urgency slows. The subtle pressure decreases. Not because I solved every unknown, but because I remembered who I am. The future may still be unfolding, but I am not unstable. I belong to you, and belonging creates security that circumstances cannot revoke. So tonight I close my eyes, not bracing for tomorrow, but trusting you for it. My identity remains, my value remains, my calling remains. And in that permanence, I find rest. And now, Lord, as this prayer reaches its deepest point, I do not want to simply reflect on my identity. I want to establish it. Because fear does not retreat through passive awareness. It retreats when truth is spoken with conviction. For too long, subtle insecurities tried to shape how I saw myself. Past failures attempted to define my limits. Old wounds tried to become permanent labels. Disappointments tried to rewrite my expectations. But tonight, I draw a spiritual boundary. Fear does not have legal authority over my identity. My past does not have permission to redefine my present. Shame does not have the final word over who I am. I am renewed in you. I am restored in you. I am reestablished in you. If any internal voice rises to accuse me, I answer with truth. If it says I am behind, I remember your timing is perfect. If it says I am incapable, I remember you equip what you call. If it says I am unworthy, I remember I am redeemed. I do not need to compete for value. I do not need to perform for love. I do not need perfection to be accepted. My identity is not fragile. It is sealed by grace, and grace does not fluctuate with my emotions. Lord, I ask that this truth settle deeper than temporary inspiration. I want it embedded in my spirit. I want it rooted beyond circumstances. I want it stronger than mood, stronger than memory, stronger than fear. Because I know fear will attempt to return. There will be moments of pressure. There will be days of uncertainty. There will be seasons of stretching. But when those moments come, I will respond from identity, not insecurity. If I face rejection, I will remember I am chosen. If I face loss, I will remember I am held. If I face failure, I will remember I am still loved. My worth is not seasonal. It does not increase with applause. It does not decrease with criticism. It does not expand with success. It does not shrink with mistakes. It remains constant, and that constancy gives me peace. Tonight I understand something liberating. Fear feeds on identity confusion. When I am unclear about who I am, fear grows stronger. But when I stand firm in truth, fear loses its leverage. Fear thrives in distortion, but it weakens in clarity. And tonight, there is clarity. I am fully known. I am fully loved. I am fully seen. I am fully accompanied. There is no hidden part of me you reject. There is no broken part of me you cannot restore. There is no uncertain part of me you abandon. You stand with me. And because you stand with me, I stand secure. As my body begins to surrender to rest, I feel a quiet strength rising within me. Not emotional intensity, not dramatic feeling, but stable assurance. I do not have to wake up tomorrow trying to reinvent myself. I do not have to defend my value. I do not have to prove my significance. My identity is already established. Even if tomorrow brings pressure, I remain secure. Even if tomorrow brings challenge, I remain grounded. Even if tomorrow brings unexpected turns, I remain held. Fear may attempt to speak, but it no longer governs. Anxiety may knock, but it does not rule. Insecurity may whisper, but it does not define. Because I am anchored. I am your child. I belong to your purpose. I am sustained by your faithfulness. And this belonging is not fragile. It is eternal. So tonight I release striving. I release comparison. I release self-condemnation. I release the exhausting effort to measure up. I receive truth. My identity is secure. My heart is steady. My mind is aligned. My spirit is at peace. And as sleep gently overtakes me, I rest not as someone trying to escape fear, but as someone who has confronted it with truth. I rest knowing I am yours. I rest knowing I am loved. I rest knowing I am enough in you. Fear does not define me, you do. And under that unshakable identity, I sleep in peace.